Hello and welcome to the A-Level Music Technology support session for submitting grades in summer 2020. The session is an overview of the principles set out by Ofqual after the announcement on 3rd of April on the process for submitting grades this summer for A-levels. If you do have any questions after watching this video, there is details of the customer support portal on the Pearson website, or there are links to the Pearson Music community pages on the Pearson website as well, and you can submit any questions through either of those. The agenda is to give an overview of the situation, look at the general principles set out by Ofqual, possible evidence that you may consider when looking at the centre assessment grade and rank order for A-Level Music Technology, and then to look at an example of the process. The announcement to shut schools and to cancel the summer series for exams was made on the 20th of March by the Secretary of State, and that there would be a calculated grade for candidates issued in July. It was also stated that further details would follow. As you can appreciate, it is an unprecedented situation, and it has taken a little time to confirm the process through discussions between awarding organisations, Ofqual and the DfE. On the 3rd of April, further information was given about how the grades will be awarded this summer. For every A-level subject, a centre is required to submit a centre assessment grade, and for each student. And a rank order of the students within a grade must be submitted as well. So what we'll do is have a look at the principles set out by Ofqual and the centre assessment grade and rank order in a little more detail. The centre assessment grade will be submitted by the head of centre and is the grade that each student is most likely to have achieved if they had sat the assessments this summer. It is a professional judgment from teachers derived from evidence held within your centre, as far as possible in the current context of public health advice. It is a holistic professional judgment balancing the different sources of evidence that you have available. Heads of department and teachers will consider each student's performance over the course of study and make the judgment for the most likely grade each student would have achieved if they had sat the exams and completed the NEA tasks. Centres should also assume that it is no easier or harder for a student to achieve any grade this year compared to previous years. To look at the rank order in more detail, you will also need to provide a rank order for candidates within each grade. So for example, if you have 4 candidates achieving a grade B, then rank 1 would be the highest attaining or most secure candidate. Number 2 would be the next, and so on. If you have more than one teacher or cohort, then you will need to agree one rank order for all students within the centre taking the subject. You won't be allowed to have tied rank orders. So for example, 2 candidates cannot be given position 1 in any grade. The submission will be returned to centre to be amended, and this could cause delays in the process. Once centres have submitted all of the grades and the rank order, awarding organisations will use statistical standardisation. The model for this is currently being developed with Ofqual and will be used to standardise grades across centres in each subject. It will combine a range of evidence and could include expected grade distribution at national level, results in previous years at centre level, and prior attainment profile of students at centre level. One thing to note is it won't change the rank order of students within a centre, and will also not assume the distribution of grades in each subject and/or centres should be the same. However, this does mean potentially the centre assessment grade could go up or down for some or all of the candidates within a centre. Then to look at how and when you will be submitting these. The centre assessment grades must be signed off by at least 2 teachers in that subject, one of these being the head of department. If there is only one member of staff, or only one member of staff available at the time, the head of centre could be the other person signing this off. This is then confirmed and signed off by the head of centre as a true representation of student performance. The system for submitting the centre assessment grade and the rank order is currently being developed, and there will be further news on this after Easter. One thing to note is you won't need to submit anything before the 29th of May. So you actually have plenty of time to collate the evidence and consult with colleagues and consider the grades and rank order. You also won't be required to submit evidence of things such as recordings or the technology-based compositions. The window for submitting the centre assessment grade and the rank order will be open for at least 2 weeks. And one thing to note is you must not share the centre assessment grade or rank order of the students with any students, parents or carers, or any individuals outside of the centre before final results have been issued. Now, to consider the type of evidence that you may want to look at when considering the centre assessment grade and the rank order for your students. For recording, students may be at different stages of completion. You may have some completed recordings and you may have some incomplete recordings at this point. There's no requirement for students to complete work any further, and you can look at these recordings that you have to consider how students may have achieved. You may have set tasks for recording as classwork or homework, and again, this can be considered when you are looking at the centre assessment grade. Other useful sources could include the Principal Examiner's Report from last year to understand the component at a national level, and there's also exemplar material on the website to give an understanding of the standard. You should also consider this cohort compared with those in previous years. For technology-based composition, you may consider, again, any completed compositions that you may have. Some students may have incomplete compositions at this stage, but again, these can be considered and the progress that they have made on these throughout the duration of the course. Again, you may have set composition tasks for homework or in class, and these can be considered and how students have developed their skills over the course of study. Again, there is a Principal Examiner's Report that you can refer to understand the national picture, and there is exemplar material which you can refer to understand the standard. And once again, you should compare this cohort with previous years. For the 2 exam components, you may have run mock exams, and this would give a good indication how students may perform on those 2 papers. You may have progress review data for students, and this could be useful to feed into this as well. There may be sources of classwork or homework, that may give an indication of how students could perform in the exam components. For both Component 3 and Component 4, there is also examiner reports, which will help you understand the types of questions and the responses given to those types of questions and how this cohort may respond. There is also exemplar material with commentary, and again, this can help to understand the standard and the expectations of the questions. You could consider, again, the standard of this cohort with previous years to give an idea of how they may perform as well. Some candidates may have sat AS level last year, and you could consider their results from these assessments as well. So when coming up with a centre assessment grade, you will need to bear in mind that students will generally achieve higher on any A task than in exams. Therefore, you shouldn't just use any A evidence as your judgment. You will need to balance this with the candidate's most likely performance in the exam components too. You should look at previous cohort achievement in your centre and can also look at the grade boundaries from previous years and the grade statistics to look at the distribution of grades at a national level. To review the process, we'll have a look at a short example for a cohort. First thing is to use the evidence and your professional judgment to give a centre assessment grade for each student. A U grade is an expected grade, and you may have some students that you assign a U grade to. You will then need to rank order within each grade. In this example, we have 5 candidates within grade B. Number 1 is the most secure candidate, down to number 5 as the least secure candidate. This is then approved by your head of department and head of centre, and then submitted to the awarding organisation. There is then step 4, which is the statistical standardisation process to finalise the grades. And this has the intention of issuing grades in July. There will be further details on submitting grades, issuing results, and any appeals process, and the opportunity for sitting exams. The next steps you need to do is to check your entries are complete and correct. You can then consider what evidence you have available, and then you can begin work to generate the centre assessment grade and the overall rank order. And just to ensure that you don't share any grades or rank order with students, parents, or carers. There are links here to the support portal or the Pearson Music community pages where you can submit questions. And although it may not be possible to provide all of the answers at this point, I hope you found this session useful. Thank you very much.